more on that, I'm joined by Chairman of Con Investment Management, Travis Hamilton. Also in studio with me, Steve Johnson from Forager Funds. Welcome to the program, Travis.
Nadine, thank you very much for having me.
Mongolia has just got a new prime minister, but by all accounts, he really does have his work cut out for him. The economy there is tanking. Just briefly set the scene for us.
Yeah, certainly Mongolia has gone through a challenging couple of years, and I think that really goes back to the election cycles of 2012 and 2013, coupled, of course, with falling global commodity prices. That certainly put a lot of pressure on the Mongolian economy. We've seen GDP growth trend down over the last couple of years, as well as, of course, the currency depreciate against the US dollar. Having said that, I think with Mongolia's new leadership now, under the new Prime Minister Saakashvili, I think we're set for a significant economic recovery. That's his clear mandate and his clear focus.
But, I mean, is this something new leadership can really get a grip on? Because we've got this commodity price downturn, total reliance on foreign mining for the most part. Also, he's a former member of or a member of the former Prime Minister's cabinet. So is this perhaps more of a symbolic change than anything else?
No, absolutely not. And I think if we consider what's actually spurring Mongolia's growth at the moment, it's not really a mining boom. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is actually an investment boom. And Mongolia is certainly heavily reliant upon increasing foreign direct investment flows into the country in order to develop their massive resource endowment that the country has, as well as to develop the infrastructure in order to get those resources to market. With regards specifically to Prime Minister Saakashvili, he spent a lot of many years in Parliament, but thankfully he's very connected in the business and the investment community. And as I mentioned, he has a clear mandate now to focus on economic recovery. He's worked with investors before. We've worked with Minister Saakashvili in his previous role. I think he understands investors' concerns and their worries. He's certainly expressed his desire that he's ready to work with the investment community, and we're ready to work with him.
Travis, it's Steve Johnson here. We've seen, I guess, a number of people that had invested heavily in that market have their problems over the past few years. We own a mining contractor called McMahon that's having a lot of trouble getting paid by the government over there. Do you think that the Western markets are going to be as willing to re-engage, I guess, on the investment front as they were a few years ago?
That is the challenge that the country faces. I think it's a crisis of confidence, and clearly investor sentiment with regards to investing in the country has taken a significant beating, and that really dates back to a very prohibitive foreign investment law that was rushed through Parliament in 2012 to prevent a Chalco takeover of one of the country's largest coal deposits. Unfortunately, I think some of the issues that the current government has had to deal with since taking office in 2012 were really legacy issues from the previous government. Sentiment is certainly what's driving the market there. And of course, the litmus test, like it or not, unfortunately for Mongolia, remains its relationship with Rio Tinto and the go-ahead of this massive $5.4 billion development of the Oyu Tolgoi Phase 2 underground mine development.
And the infrastructure to get a lot of those commodities into China has been a big issue as well, but I've read reports of some progress on that front. How is that unfolding at the moment, and what's the outlook like for the railway lines into China and some of the things that seem to be very important there?
Look, infrastructure development is absolutely key, and interestingly, I think Mongolia now has become perhaps a very unlikely beneficiary of major geopolitical events of 2014. We've obviously seen a very clear strengthening of the relationship between Russia and China, and the massive gas supply contracts that have been signed between the two countries. And Mongolia is right smack bang in the middle of these two countries, and both China and Russia, their leaders have visited Mongolia just as recently as the last couple of months. Both countries have indicated significant investment proposals, particularly with regards to infrastructure, to develop logistics, transportation links, gas pipelines connecting Russia to China. And that is going to go right through the middle of Mongolia. In terms of the country's very large coal deposits in the South Gobi, importantly, the government did recently pass legislation with regards to its rail network policy, and thankfully we're now going to see two railroads being developed from mine mouth to the Chinese border that will actually be using the Chinese narrow rail gauge. So it is all starting to come together, and I think we are going to see masses of FDI coming in from Mongolia's huge neighbours.
Interesting, a landlocked country, but that can perhaps leverage that position at this time anyways. Travis, thanks for coming in and chatting with us this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Travis Hamilton there joining us from our CBD studio. Steve?